Okay, so this is season 3, episode 9 of Belle Collective. And I think that this is cray cray. I'm trying to sorry. Um, I hate it that you use apps and then they feel like they should um constantly track you down. But anyway, that's not the point. Let's focus. Season 3, episode 9. This is all about the bells. So Letitia, Josh, and Mom are having a meeting. I have a problem with this meeting. Two problems. Number one, she's talking about her book. She has a book called Side Pieces of Winning. Why would you write a book like that? You understand why she would write a book like that? I'm confused. You're the wife. You're not a side piece. Moving on. And she's always talking about how busy she is with her mother. Now, she makes a comment that they don't have time to see you, and she's, and then even when they leave, talking about, see you next time. You're always busy. Thank you for spending this. Like I was like, wait a second, hold up. Don't you live with her? If you've been saying that you live with her, oh, I'm back and living with my mom. I did a whole video talking about how you claim that you a boss and you are this and so successful. How come you can't rent yourself a hotel? How come you need Marie to put her name on stuff so that like are co-signed for something for you? You but are you living with your mama or are you not? Like, I mean, I'm confused. Just like this is the reason. And so, okay, I was trying to give people the benefit of the doubt. Shout out to Bonnie Blue, who's like, this is some bull. I was like, I'm gonna give her the benefit of the doubt. It may not be bullish. It may be bull. But it comes to find out that I am now fully in the vein of I have been bamboozled. I have been lied to. Um, she is not living at the house. And then when her mom's like, so you don't have to stay married, I'm not gonna tell you to leave your husband. Um, the son is sitting right there. He doesn't have headphones. Um, then when she's like, I always go to my mom about, first of all, you're true. I feel like you should not be always going to your parents because it takes their perspective on their relationship. This is like 101. Don't be telling your parents about your relationship if you don't plan on acting. If you don't plan on leaving, if you don't plan on doing anything and you're still going to have dealings with this man, then you don't go to your parents and tell your parents what's going on. It's just highly inappropriate. And also, it's going to taint how their relationship is going to go. But the thing that kicks me is talking about my mom married 6 times. So you think I'm going to go to somebody for advice who's been married 6 times? She knows how to marry somebody, but she don't know how to be in a marriage. Like, moving on. Akeisha and Willie, this scene was pointless, but it's just about her having high blood pressure, like millions of other people, and how she needs to change her diet. Clearly, we've seen that because of how last episode he cooked her everything except a regular vegetable. And then she did not get the grant. She didn't get the block, but they said they have other options and opportunities. So we'll see what happens with that. JJ is with his daughter and his grandson and the father of his grandson. And he asked, they're just shooting the breeze and he's just excited to be a grandfather, blah, blah, right? The whole breast milk conversation, I understood why she didn't breastfeed, but I'm gonna tell you what, ma'am. Little the thing that I feel about breastfeeding, I actually do think it's the I mean, I'm going to be that chick that I said I would never be, but I do actually think there is a benefit of breastfeeding with the child on your breast versus it being just consistently pumping. I think that there's a sense of connection that you have. There's a sense of you really get to understand more about your child while you are breastfeeding. Like you get to see their habits, their feeding habits. You can really time their waking up. You can time their development and their growth because they eat more when they need your body will produce more as they need more. Like there's just, but I mean, I get it. Breastfeeding, people don't tell you that breastfeeding absolutely hurts and your boobs do go through a lot. Breastfeeding versus pumping for and the first time that you breastfeed, it's tempting to stop because it feels like two things. It feels like little knives on your nipples, and your nipples are already tender, and your nipples are extremely big, and they get bigger while you're breastfeeding. Um, and they do go back eventually. They don't always stand out so large. Over time, they go back to being what they were. But, and even as they're chewing on your breast, it doesn't feel like it gets bigger for sure. It gets bigger, and you're like, my breasts are never coming back. But your nipple does go back to normal under most cases. And um, and it also, while your breasts are hurting, your nipple is really the thing that hurts, not your breast can hurt if you don't pump consistently and everything else. But also your stomach contracts. Your stomach, it feels like someone it's like a waist trainer contracting your stomach so tightly. Like it's with my son, he would be so demanding and eat so much that I couldn't walk. For the first couple of days, like I struggled with walking because he was constantly eating. So I get, and especially as a new mom, I get where you're like, I'll just pump. That kid can stay over there. Like I get that. I just I think you just have to keep going with it. But anywho, file charges. Okay, so he actually had the audacity to ask him. So when is Gucci seeing the baby and talking about how she is the grandmother and she don't want to see the baby. First of all, they have never had a relationship to the point where they felt that she was a bonus mom. Let's be clear. And even if they want to give this story that they were all good when they were growing up and so Gucci was this best mom and everything, I don't believe it. But if we're going to put that out there, fine. But as adults, it's clear that they've never had that close bond relationship that they're trying to portray. So, and I'm gonna tell you how we know this, because they would have a hard time taking the side. They don't have a hard time taking the side. They're like, that's my mama. And, they're treating you like another chick on the street who had an altercation with their mother. So therefore, that relationship that you claiming that you guys were tight as thick as thieves ain't there. And the fact that you think that this child is going to call you a grandma, like it's going to call Selena a grandmother, is bogus. The fact another way that we know that they're not as close as thieves is because she would have helped throw the baby shower, but she didn't. So BS. So, and then on top of all that, she's filed charges on the ex, and the fact that JJ is gonna sit there and say that he agrees with the filing of the charges, bruh, you should be glad that they love you, because I would have, even though he didn't say it to her face, if he would have sat back to my face and as I'm watching it, I would have picked up the child and we would have been like, deuces, dad, and I will see you at another day and time. Because there's no way that you are going. See, so Gucci and Selena were both wrong. The fact that she thinks that she's going to file an assault charge on Selena when she was also involved in this is mind-boggling. Bogus. And like I said, if I was their mother, you not gonna see, so Gucci's not gonna see my baby until the baby is up and walking and can to the DMV to get a driver's license and can drive himself over to see you, because it ain't happening. No, please. By the way, I said that on on Twitter, and Sandra, the woman in the room, their daughter, tweeted it. So clearly, there will be no peace. You cannot file charges and think there's peace. So even as we skip on to Gucci and Akeisha actually taking a walk, and Gucci tells Akeisha that she filed charges on Selena. Akeisha's like, well, like, I mean, let's keep it real. You filed charges on their money, they're not gonna be cool with you. So then she tells her about what happened with Cliff and Glenn, and then how Glenn, I did not know this. We did not know this. Glenn calls JJ to explain how he doesn't appreciate what's going on. Akeisha's like, he should be calling his wife. Well, he did call the wife. And then she's sitting up here defending it, Lakeisha again. And I don't get, I don't like Cliff. I really, really don't. And to be frank, all the men are less desirable. I mean, Willie is the most likable on the cast. Josh, Latrice, and Mandy go to this aerial skit silks, which is a different version of yoga. And Josh don't talk. Latrice is like, oh, I can get tips for sex positions, and Josh is like, please don't talk about sex, because I mean, you want me to throw up. I actually don't have a problem with that statement. Um, we have Okay, so Latrice it begins to explain to Josh that she's upset that she talked to Akeisha. She's like, look, you know that I'm not the best. The Bells and the collective don't necessarily all treat me very well. And she's like, Josh, if you had a problem, then you should call Amanda. and y'all talk about me behind, y'all talk about it together. I'm trying to follow this reasoning, y'all. So she's upset that she talked to Aikisha and Josh. I agree that Josh shouldn't have told Aikisha so much, but I will agree on this part that Josh was really trying to ask for advice. So it wasn't the same as like spilling tea per se, but I do get the fact that he probably shouldn't have done it at all. I'm not disagreeing with that premise. But what I don't like is so Josh is like, look, you going to Amanda or Mandy to tell her like you have a problem with me is the very same issue, and there's no real difference. I think the only difference is that Amanda is a friend, but I think Josh's thing is that I don't really talk to Amanda like that in the same way that you don't talk to Aikisha like that. So what's the problem? All excellent points. I don't know. I think I'm gonna blame Lakeisha on this. No, I'm gonna blame Latrice on this because Latrice shouldn't be moving nobody in her house. I'm a firm believer that you move people in your house, you move people into business. And it's very hard to control what other people say about your business. Well, lesson learned. They have a couples date, Aikisha, Willie, so Gucci and JJ, Latrice and Cliff. So Gucci, JJ, and Latrice and Cliff had no idea that each other was invited. Latrice was not feeling this. And then when they were talking about not being late, I didn't. This is another thing I hated. When Latrice blames Aikisha uses the kids for an excuse, I hated this statement. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because I also have some people feel away when I use it, especially when I had younger kids. And people would get really annoyed about the fact that I would flake on them. I mean, I would flake hard. And my thing is, I work. I'm trying to keep myself afloat, trying to deal with my mental. And then you have these two kids running around, and you're trying to deal with your own body. You're trying to do, um, yeah. And then babysittings can always come up. Uh, a kid can get sick in 2.2 seconds. I do have to pick up the kids. I do have to do all of these things. It's I don't get to just up and go. And then I don't get to be like Latrice with a grandmother as a grandmother who can always just drop the kid, be like, nah, I'm busy. You somebody else gotta watch your kid. Like you don't have that luxury to do that because you are the parent. So how dare Latrice make that kind of statement? Akeisha uses the kids as an excuse. It's called being a mother. And this is where mothers kind of women who are mothers kind of get annoyed by people who are single or or women whose kids are grown and forgot what it was like to have a little kid. I'm trying, and it's like, look, I am trying my best to keep everything by the chin and chin chin of my hair and my skin by my nails. I'll make it when I get here. And if you have a problem with that, then that's fine. But it's called and it's like you single women, I mean, women without children don't want women with kids to pander and say, well, you don't have kids, so you don't know. But then when you make these kind of comments, it leaves us to say, well, you don't have kids and you don't know. So don't be putting that on. Don't say that like that. That when she said that, I was like, um. Anyway, so Gucci and Latrice are having this little thing about like how their conversation is petty because they were talking about the event and how much they learned. Bonnie wants them to talk about what happened to the end of Fair Street, which is a very good point. I think they alluded to it here. Um, So anyway, so Cliff. Okay, so then they made a comment about this party, and JJ's like, "Hey, I did this to to get all the bells together so they can be good and be happy and have a release." And then Cliff was like, "Well, that's not my type of party." I would have loved if somebody would have called him out. Well, your eyes didn't look like it was not that type of party because you were doing a butt much. So, um, but that would have been rude, right? Uh, but when his wife said, "I enjoyed the party," Chris' response was saying, "I'm a person with high dignity wouldn't do this." Like, and so clearly that's a shade to JJ. The party person with high dignity wouldn't have thrown this kind of party. Wow. Then he moves on to say a person who's also insecure is also saying would say that about a person who likes the party. So Akeisha's like, look, their relationship dynamic is a bit much, to say the least. And saying, Akeisha's like, look, there's a person that talk about marriage and everything else. Um, it's good to talk to people who I could talk to any, if you want advice on marriage, I could talk to people about marriage because that's who I am. That's the state I am. That conversation, there must have been some editing there because that statement kind of came out of nowhere. And to me, it feels like it was a jab to Latrice in regards to JJ and in regards to her talking to her friend Josh. Why are you going, Latrice, to people who are single, who is not married, talking about your marriage because they're not going to give you the best advice because they don't share and understand what your experience is. That's what I think that she's trying to say. I just don't think that went over very well. Latrice. Okay, saying that. Okay. Well, um, Latrice brings up, has there ever been an issue when it comes to infidelity? The only person who really responds is JJ. I've never cheated. And then he's like, so I'm being this good man. And then so Gucci's like, well, if you being this good man, then why is your ex trying to hit me? And he's like, well, I haven't been double dipping in the water. Okay. Well, Willie was like, I didn't think that was in your character. Sarcasm. And the fact that so Gucci was like, I mean, it didn't pick up on the sarcasm is ridiculous. And then was like, well, I do have so Gucci I don't like talking about yourself in third person. Has a smart mouth. Okay, so she has a smart mouth, fine. But the problem is that you can't instigate and run up on somebody and don't expect a person to respond. And so Latrice butts in by saying, yeah, she has a smart mouth. She's the one who told me that that I'm sure that Selena is sucking such and such, my husband such and such, and I clearly JJ didn't know that part of the conversation because as we all know, she edited the conversation. And so he's looking like, and then Cliff made a snide remark saying, no, it didn't happen. It would be nice. And everybody's still yapping about what happened and what was said. And I was just like, nobody's gonna pick up on the fact that he's openly like, it would be nice. So Latrice, tell me, he's cheating on you? So clearly, he's also cheating on you. You're staying with this dude. I'm struggling to figure out what are we doing? What are we doing? Can you tell me what we're doing? What is this relationship for? Like, what are we getting out of this? There has to be something we're getting out of this. Because you talking about sexual positions for what? You living in a whole nother room. And he's out here cheating on you. Do you wear a condom? I'm sure he's not gonna let you wear a condom. Lord have mercy. Anyway, I hope you're not. I know you don't live in Houston and there's a rise in, STDs, but it could very well become, seniors are the ones who are more likely to have STDs because they don't use protection. Anywho, next episode is when she gets Latrice and Letitia talk, and Letitia's confronting her by like, look, you can't hide your abusive husband anymore. And this is why people are talking. It's not because people are talking just because they hate you, but they're talking because you're coming to stuff with bruises on your body. You're coming to stuff where he's openly disrespecting you. We've seen you get hemmed up physically, which I still won't. I still think that Carlos King is dead wrong for not having production to intervene or to have her stay at a hotel or something when we physically are seeing, because if he's willing to physically do this in person where we are all looking at the camera and we're seeing him physically put his hands on her, then I guarantee what is he doing behind closed doors? What's happening to you behind closed doors? Damn. With that being said, I am done for the day. Well, no, I'm not, but I'm done with this video. Bye.